Hey Hugs, Jamie here. Just a reminder, this podcast has merch. That's right. All you have to do is head to our website, uglytruth.com, find the new merch tab, click on it, and you'll be whisked away to our store where you will find the exclusive lip and clip bag, as well as the Uglee t-shirt, hoodies, and all the other accoutrements that you could possibly imagine, because I need options and you should too. So treat yourself this holiday season, buy all the gifts for the loved ones, and then go to our website and buy your own. Thank you so much for supporting the Uggs. Welcome to The Ugly Truth. This is episode 505. Ugh. Oh, I almost heard a little bit of that. Okay, so we were talking before the show. You were irritated by the Broadway one. What was it again? I didn't even see it.
It was One Night of Broadway. That's all it said.
Oh, okay.
It said One Night of Broadway. And I'm like, oh, this is cute. Like maybe I thought it was like a little holiday special or, and then I realized it was like kind of like a fundraiser for struggling Broadway artists since Broadway is closed now.
Yes.
And I'm like, what? I mean, I'm not saying that Broadway artists aren't,
entitled.
They're just like any other unemployed person in this country right now.
Right.
That is struggling because of COVID. And I'm just like, what makes them so goddamn special? I mean,
yeah.
To where they're literally going to put on a whole hour production to have people send money so they can get medicine and see a doctor and buy groceries. And I'm just like, what, you think the fucking country doesn't have the same issue? If you're, a waitress or work at a steel mill or, and I said, even strippers. I'm like, what about Cinnamon with an S?
Right.
She has to pay her college tuition,
Those
or
thongs
whatever.
don't just come into existence for free.
She has to get her STD check every 3 weeks.
And I would challenge you that if there was a one night in a strip club fundraiser, they would be swimming in cash. Because
they probably get a hell of a lot more than the Broadway people did last night.
They probably would. And, and you're right.
And they have the best grilled cheese sandwiches in town.
Apparently so. Who told you that?
Actually, someone told me that once. He's just like, I go there at lunch. He's like, literally the best grilled cheese sandwiches in town. And
I'm sure it has nothing. It has nothing to do with his environment at all. I'm sure it has nothing to do with it.
He's like, best $5 I ever spent. And I'm just like, really, for a grilled cheese sandwich? I'm like, that's disgusting.
Hot melty cheese sandwich. He probably licks the molten cheese out between the two breads, thinking he's looking at cinnamon.
No,
with
I
an
asked
S.
him. I'm like, is the cheese even melted? He's like, I don't even know.
Exactly. Disgusting.
Okay, hold on. While we're on air, I want to address something.
What?
Here. Someone posted a montage video of people, I think it was Allison, of people reenacting photographs.
Stephanie.
When they were little. Okay. I dropped one of the one that we were in Awkward Family Photos, the calendar.
Yes, which I would be happy to. I would be happy to redo.
Then you dropped one of all four of us standing in front of the Mickey Mouse Garden at Disneyland.
Yeah.
And I said, well, isn't that nice?
What's wrong with that?
Because there's no way in hell the four of us as grown women will ever be together at the same time in the same place at Disneyland.
Yeah,
no
but
less,
I also didn't.
To reenact that photo. And I'm like, you picked this picture on purpose.
Why?
Just to avoid to be in a photograph.
That is not true, first of all.
And I said, the only way we would ever be there together is if we were granting a wish of some sort. And I said, and that's cruel. And you're just like, fuck you!
Hey, first of all, you immediately assume that I think it has to be at Disneyland.
It's a reenactment of the photo. That was the whole premise.
Yes, I know,
at
but
Disneyland in front of the gate.
Right. Okay. So, would you like to journey to Olin Mills in Citrus Heights and reenact our photo that you chose?
Don't exist. And I said in the picture, we could create our own background.
Yeah. So that's what I said. With the magic of technology, we can recreate the background of Disneyland. The more challenging part is finding the clothes and getting our hair done the way it was back in the day. I think it would be hilarious. And it's a full body shot. It's not just our floating heads.
So that's my whole point, is for you to suggest that we all stand there in full body shots, which I didn't see the part about creating our background. I just thought you meant no less in Disneyland. I'm like, that's just like putting like a gazillion miles in front of us to attempt a photograph. And I'm just like, Talk about unwillingness.
No, you're just short-sighted and you look for the negativity in everything. I knew we could do the background. We could green screen that shit and do it.
So we'll just come up with a green screen now.
You can do it online. You don't even need to. Daryl sits. Oh God, when they do the gajillion Zoom calls they do, he literally sits in Disneyland daily. Like literally, that's his background half the time.
Actually, that reminds me, I better change my Zoom background. Last time it was just a yellow can that said beer on it. We're supposed to have a Zoom video with Ryan's school counselor today.
You know, you might want to do something floral, perhaps, or cheerful, or at least dark, like anything other than beer, generic beer cans. Maybe I'll just
superimpose that picture that says, "Welcome. You want to talk about serial killers?"
That is so fucking funny, Paula.
I'm getting
you need that sign. You need it.
I don't think I'm alone. I think a lot of people would like that.
It's adorable. I love it. Let's talk about the baby elephant in the room. Yesterday, producer Dub's daughter gave birth to his first grandson, little baby Steve the Sixth. The Sixth!
Yeah, the Sixth. You know, when I saw the sign that she posted on like VI, I'm like, that's 6, isn't it?
Yes.
And I'm just like, my God. I'm like, do they want to keep that going?
They
or are they
do.
just going to stop it at some point?
Nope. I mean, maybe down the road there'll be some rebellious woman who will say, "I am not naming our child Steve
he will
the
not
20th.
Be Stephen the 12th." Yeah,
we will not have that. We are not kings.
Yeah, really. I mean,
so Steve the Sixth has graced us with his presence. He is a new family member. There is not one person so far in our family who isn't just completely over the moon and happy for everybody involved. And
God, we haven't had a new baby in ages.
Daryl is just on cloud 9, and he has not left cloud 9 since yesterday.
Well, I saw him post. He's just like, well, I'm rooting for. He's gunning for Lolly or Pop. So I don't know what he wants to be called.
He's gonna be Grandpa, but
he wants to be Grandpa. Okay.
Oh yeah, he deserves it. He has every right to be.
Well,
Grandpa.
you know, some people have issue with the name Grandpa. Like I know Victor's dad did not want to be Grandpa. He's Pa. So
yeah, you know, I think when it comes to us as a couple together, we're Lolly and Pop, but I think ultimately he is Grandpa.
Yeah.
The reason that I chose it obviously is Natalie has her mom, and her mom absolutely earns that right for Grandma. Daryl keeps saying, "You're Grandma," and I said, "Yeah, you know what? I don't want to really dip my toe in those waters because there's a definite established familial circle around Natalie, and I am absolutely important to her, and I will be to this baby, but it's not the same." And that's okay. I'm really okay with it. I've come to peace with it. And I have to tell you, it is a very weird thing being on the side of daddy's daughter side versus mama's baby girl side. It's very different, and I'm uncomfortable. But it's only because I'm such a, I want to be in there. Like you said, last night we were talking about it. You're like, if that was Olivia, I would practically be delivering her baby. And I'm like,
oh
that's
my
exactly
God,
how I feel.
I'd be like crawled up in her vagina, like talking to it before like, hi, come on, we're going to do this together.
I know. I mean, it's such a different bond between mother and daughter than it is with daddy and daughter. So what I've really enjoyed is watching Daryl. He's just like floating on air. It's so cute.
Aww.
It's so cute. He walks by, he's like, "I love you so much." And I'm like, "I love you too. What are you doing?" He's just like, and he's just like melting. He's just melting. He's perfect. And the baby's perfect. And everything is good for just one day.
Are you crying?
No.
Oh God.
Shut up. It's a baby.
No, I know that. I'm just thinking what's going to happen when you have your own.
Oh my God, Paula.
I'm actually looking at alternative names for like a stepmother grandma.
What's wrong with Lolly? Is it dumb?
You want them to call you Lolly?
I think it's cute. Lolly and Pop. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We don't actually.
Well, they're not going to call him Pop though. They're going to call him Grandpa.
Yeah. You know what's really funny is like we can say all of this, but the reality is that the child usually decides what everyone's going to be. So
well, you could be so there's Grammy, Gammy. I don't know what Yaya is. That sounds like a vagina.
Yeah, that sounds like a vagina. I'm not saying that.
You could be Mumsy.
I don't think so. I don't know.
No? Well, we'll have to look into it.
We will look into it.
No, I don't know. I'm just saying there's options. Well, you can't have it call you options, but I mean, God, why do I do shit like that?
I don't know.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's just, I mean, I was just looking up, they're like, there's Southern names, which is funny because Meemaw came up, and that's exactly what my kids call their grandmother.
I don't think Meemaw fits with me. I don't think I look like
it's a Southern thing. Yeah, so I don't. You could be like abuela.
Yeah, I thought about that, and nah. But Lolly is.
That's like, that sounds really old.
It does sound like
old Mexican grandma. I wouldn't go by that.
Require the May. Yeah. No, I'm just not.
Yeah, you're just going to have to think about it. Like maybe Chanel or Coco.
Sure. Okay. Anyway, so the baby's here. It's exciting. Everybody's happy. And so it's like, I told her, I'm like, you know what's so great is just like for just a moment, things are perfect. Like, you know, nothing's been fucked up. There's been no arguments. There's no anger. It's just happiness and joy and bonding and peace. And it's like, it's such a rare blip of time that quickly fades the second, you know, life happens again. But it's like, just, you know, I told him, like, just hang on to this for just for a moment. Cause like right now, like I was telling you before the show, because of COVID, the husband can't leave. He's there until she gets released.
But that's nice.
That's what I thought. And so I'm like, it's literally just the three of them alone together for probably 3 or 4 days with the help of nurses and doctors, which is amazing. And they're going to get a real solid bond. And I just think it's perfect.
Extra time in the hospital is good because it's not only good for you, but they still look after the baby when you're in there.
Yeah.
And so you get like that extra time, like, and they give you like, if you're struggling with something, you get extra time. You get like the lactation consultant if she's going that route.
Sure.
And that lactation consultant was a huge help for me when I decided to breastfeed. Yeah. Like they give you all these pointers and that stuff sticks with you.
It does, and you'll remember it forever.
I always remember, and that's why I like. I remember this one thing. She says, "Okay, so you see this chicken wing because Olivia's arm was bent like way up high, and it was kind of like made the form of a chicken wing." She's like, "Okay," she's like, "You know they have enough when the chicken wing releases." And like after I was feeding for a while, her arm just kind of like flobbed. Aww. And then she's like, "Okay," so she's all, "The chicken wing has released." She's all, "You probably can switch her to the other side."
That is like, okay. Adorable.
But it's just like, who teaches you that stuff?
No one. Nobody. The lactation consultant.
Now, like if you had a good mom, you would be able to teach your own child something like that.
Right.
And so I could, and like one of the notes I gave Natalie, I don't know if she read it, but
she reads everything.
When I sent her the wipe warmer, I told her, I said, this will help, you know, not to wake the baby in the middle of the night. And I said, listen for smacking sounds. I said, if you hear your baby making smacking sounds, I said, that means they're getting hungry. And I said, they do that while they're sleeping. I said, so if you can catch them doing that and start feeding them before they start crying, I said, you can do that, change the diaper and put them back down. And I said, and they may not even wake up. And so
it's covert ops.
Well, right. And so I just remember, I'm like, I wish someone had told me to listen for smacking sounds.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. So anyway, now it's just a matter of keeping her healthy and good and, you know, getting her home and settled in. And of course, there's a line out the door of parents that want to help. So it's just a matter of getting it all organized and whatever they want, of course, you know.
Well, everybody loves a baby. So.
Well, everybody loves these people, you know, the whole family. Sure. You know, we've been just doing whatever we can to make this easy because there's no reason to suffer. You know, there's no reason to do trial by fire when it comes to stuff like this, if you can help it.
Sure.
So
but,
anyway.
I mean, I can't think of the last time we've had a baby. I mean, my God.
I can't either. I know.
I mean, I'm on that fence between do I want my own or do I just want to wait for grandchildren? I don't know.
You know, I went through that. I went through that phase. I did. I went through that phase.
It's just like, I know I've got a couple left and I could, you know, it wouldn't be hard.
There's a couple shiny new ones in there. You could probably get one.
I've got good stock. I don't think it would turn out poorly.
You know, I know I have mentally resigned myself that I will obviously never have a baby. I'm too old and nor would I want one at this point. So I'm at the waiting for anyone to have a grandchild. And obviously we have one now, but she doesn't live nearby. So it's not like I can just say, bring the baby over. You know, it's not like that. But I know that I definitely am having some kind of craving for it because I had a dream last night that I was holding a puppy. And it was cute. And I was like, oh, you're so cute. And it started like licking my face. And then it like started sucking my cheek like it was hungry. And I'm like, and I remember freezing and my eyes got back. I'm like, why is this puppy sucking my cheek? And I had to like pull it off, you know? It was weird.
Okay. I had a dream last night that I took a pregnancy test and I was pregnant.
Oh my God.
And
well, obviously
I went to the doctor and they told me how far along I was. I was 14 weeks. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? And I'm like, I didn't get sick or anything. I'm like, what's going on? And I'm like, this isn't right.
Oh my
and they're
God.
like, no, you are, based on the calendar and everything like that. And I'm like, is everything okay? Because I feel totally normal. I was like, yeah, no, everything's fine. And so I was just like, this is a miracle.
Oh, you were happy?
I was so excited. I was
oh
just like,
God.
oh my God. I'm like, this might be like legit the best pregnancy ever.
Oh,
and so,
because you weren't sick and mouth-watering?
Well, I wasn't sick or tired or vomiting or, anything.
Nice.
I was just like, but realistically speaking, I mean, I look at my day and I'm just like, I'm exhausted just by living. I'm like, what would I do? I'm like, I'd have to go into like a medical induced coma just to survive a pregnancy.
Anyway, so speaking of new and shiny, more good news, at least for me it is, Britney Spears came out with an album today.
Shut up.
No, it's called Glory, and I listened to all of it. I mean, I sampled every single song, and I would give it a strong B+. There's actually 2 or 3 songs where it's not overly, how everything she does sounds kind of like it's poppy, but it's club music. It's got a real club sound to it. Well, there's a couple that actually don't. And you can actually hear her voice. She is still an amazing vocalist. Now she's no Mariah Carey.
Yeah, but she's got a very beautiful.
She has this rasp now that sounds amazing. Like it just. There's 2 songs specifically where I was like, God damn, why don't they do this more often? She could definitely journey into that world where she could do a more stripped down version of songs instead of all of this high synthesized. I mean, they're not auto-tuning her voice in these songs or anything. And I'm like, she legit has a good voice. And so I really enjoyed it. There is a song that she does with the Backstreet Boys called, what's it called? I don't know what it's called. I don't actually like it, so I can't remember. But the other stuff is really good, so I really enjoyed it.
Well, I think the thing is when she came out, there was a lot of very good heavy ballad vocalists, female vocalists.
Yeah.
And she really could, there was Christina Aguilera, Jessica Simpson, and she couldn't really compete with them because she was a good singer, but she was more of an entertainer.
Yes, she's an entertainer.
So they highlighted her abilities. She was a fantastic dancer. She still is.
Yeah.
She was just always very entertaining. She had an excellent sex appeal. And she could, sing actually really well. But that was her gig, is she was just an overall entertainer.
Yes.
Whereas, with Christina Aguilera and Jessica Simpson, they weren't big dancers. You know what I mean? They tried, but
they were mostly vocalists.
Christina Aguilera did okay, but, with her singing, you can't do a lot of dancing.
Right.
And same thing with Ariana Grande. They try and incorporate the dancing with her, but really, you can just stand there and watch her sing. It's much better.
Yes.
And
I
Jessica
agree.
Simpson, she couldn't dance with a lick. So,
Not really.
I mean, it was awkward. They tried, and I'm just like, what is she doing?
They're just because that was the formula, unfortunately. But anyway, so I strongly suggest that you listen to it. It's on iHeart. You can listen to it for free on iHeart. I love listening to something new and positive. It's great. And then finally, I thought I was only going to talk about this one thing, but I found all this other stuff. 2021 is going to be the year of Nicolas Cage, Paula.
I can't wait. I love Nicolas Cage. I know. What anybody says.
I know you do, and I like him too.
He's just one of those actors that it's just like you either love him or you hate him. But I love him.
We are fans of Nicolas Cage in this house.
He's talented. I don't care what anybody says. He's just one of those
he's very talented.
Not like a Gary Busey wacky. Gary Busey's just weird.
Well,
but Nicolas Cage is just like when he's on, he's on. And even in his off movies, I still find him fascinating. Like I love that movie, National Treasure. I don't care what anybody says. I love that movie.
That movie is on repeat at our house all the time.
Whenever it's on, I'm like, ooh. Whenever it's on, I'm like, hey guys, well, National Treasure's on. And so we're just like, and we're going to.
You just stop pushing it. Yes, exactly. So
we all say the same thing.
So in 2021, Nicolas Cage has several projects coming out. The first one that we talked about on social media yesterday was he's going to be doing a mini documentary type series on the origination of swear words.
I can't wait.
I cannot wait. It's going to be on Netflix in January. And I'm like, oh, I am there. I can't wait to watch it. It's going to be amazing. Just watching him sit in front of a fireplace talking about it.
I love the way he talks.
I know.
And because he's just got like that nasally, but like long, and it's not even a draw. It's just like a nasally kind of drawn out talk.
Yeah.
But he is, I don't even know what kind, maybe he's Sicilian, but he is Italian.
Well, he's related to the Coppolas. And then also he's going to be in a movie called Wally's Wonderland, where he is a drifter tricked into a janitorial job at the now condemned Wally's Wonderland. The mundane tasks suddenly become an all-out fight for survival against wave after wave of demonic animatronics.
Ew.
So that's going to be fun.
Yeah, I'm probably not going to watch that one.
He's going to play Joe Exotic in an untitled Joe Exotic miniseries.
Oh my God. I cannot think of a better person for that. I'm so excited.
It's going to be amazing. I can't wait.
Oh my God. If anyone is going to do that role justice, it's going to be him because he has the crazy to do it.
Absolutely. I'm so excited.
Whoever cast him is a genius.
I know. It's untitled now, but I believe it's in post-production, so it's coming. I can't wait. I hope that's on Netflix too.
How did you find out about that?
I do my research, Paula. I
know. I'm so shocked and happy because like sometimes I get so shocked and happy about things because I didn't even think about them and they're that like they're so genius. I'm just like, I love it that people are like that smart.
That they think
I'm not saying like I'm so brilliant, but I'm just like, but I mean, I'm pretty fucking smart. And I'm just like, the people that are even like smarter like that, I love people like that.
When they have thoughts that you've never thought of.
Or would even think to think of.
Truly blows your mind. You're like, I love your brain. I want to know you. So then he's in a movie called Pig, a truffle hunter who lives alone in the Oregonian wilderness must return to his past in Portland in search of his beloved foraging pig after she is kidnapped. So we'll see about that.
That sounds like a movie for money.
Some of the yes, and here this one does too. This one's called Prisoners of the Ghostland. He plays a notorious criminal. He must break an evil curse in order to rescue an abducted girl who has mysteriously disappeared.
You know, he's not shy about doing movies like that. I mean, he really doesn't care. I think he just loves acting, honestly.
I saw him in a movie, and it was like medieval times, and he played some kind of knight where he had to take this witch to this mountain, and she had to go there, and it ended up being all out medieval war with dragons and stuff. And I mean,
yeah.
It wasn't that bad. I mean, it was panned. It was like 16% reviews, but I watched
terrible reviews on his movies.
I watched the whole thing because I love Nicolas Cage. And here's the other thing that I find interesting about Nicolas Cage films, even when they're shitty. Like these movies have top dollar actors and actresses attached to it, and Nicolas Cage is the lead. And I'm telling you, if someone said, "Hey, we're doing this movie on this script that sounds terrible, but Nicolas Cage is the lead. Will you be in it?" I think most people say yes.
Yes. If I was an actor and they're like, well, Nicolas Cage is in it, I'm like, count me in. I don't care how shitty of a story is. That sounds like a blast.
Yeah, exactly. It sounds fun, right?
In fact, even if someone said, oh, it's got Tom Cruise, I'll be like,
I'll have to think about it.
They're like, but Nicolas Cage will be like, fuck yeah!
Sign me up! The final one, which I don't know when it's coming out or where, but I will be watching it. It's called The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. And he plays himself in this.
Ooh.
A cash-strapped Nicolas Cage agrees to make a paid appearance at a billionaire superfan's party, but is really an informant for the CIA since the billionaire fan is a drug kingpin and gets cast in a Tarantino movie.
Is it a Quentin Tarantino movie?
I don't know, but he's playing himself in a movie about him as a celebrity going to this billionaire's birthday party as as a paid appearance, except that the FBI is saying, hey, Nicolas Cage, wear a wire. This guy's a drug kingpin and give us, get in there because you're a celebrity. They'll never suspect you.
But he's the latest actor to be cast in a Tarantino movie.
Yes.
That sounds like a Tarantino movie altogether, because it's going to be like a shoot 'em out blood.
I don't know.
bath.
It doesn't. I didn't see the director as Tarantino.
But they wouldn't be able to say he's the recent cast in a Tarantino movie unless it is a Tarantino movie.
Well,
right?
Tarantino's probably maybe appearing. I don't know. But it's crazy enough, and it's going to work. That's all I have to say.
If it's a Tarantino movie, that sounds like genius,
right?
I mean. Oh my God.
So, and there's a lot of stars attached to that one as well. So I'm sure all in on,
Leonardo
and I'm like,
in there somewhere, and that's just a wet dream for me.
2021 is going to be what John Wick did for Keanu Reeves. It's going to be all about Nick Cage. I'm so stoked. I'm stoked. I'm a fan, and I can't wait. I'm so excited for this year to end and for the next year to bring us all of this treasure. All right, so I thought I do have an awkward moment, but I thought we could switch it up and read some Ugly and awkward moments regarding birth, because I thought these were really funny. But if you have an awkward moment, we can do that as well. It's up to you.
Oh, I do.
Is it a good one?
It is funny.
Okay, well then we'll do both then. But let's do our Ugly and awkward moments of the week.
Unfortunately, California is in deep dark purple of despair as far as the coronavirus is concerned.
Right.
So, I mean, nothing's really changed for us, because we're pretty much on lockdown all the time. We try and avoid going out anyway.
Yeah.
Just for safety purposes. So all the new ordinances or regulations or anything, it hasn't changed for us very much. So we're home most of the time anyway. And we've tried to keep the kids entertained so they don't feel like, they're homebound, even though they are. Sure. And so they like to play board games every now and then. And so we had been telling Olivia we would play a board game with her. We had put it off for like 2 nights, and we're like, all right, fine, we can't keep doing this to her. So she had been wanting to play Clue. And so Victor had to work the next day. He has to get up for work at like 3 a.m. And it was like 9 o'clock. And I'm just tired because I'm always tired. So we're playing Clue, and Victor had already taken his sleeping pills. And so, if you can prove someone wrong, you have to show them your clue, right? Or the clue card that you have.
Right.
So I could prove Victor wrong. So I showed him my clue, and he's like, okay. He's like, knife, good to know. And he said it out loud. And I'm like, I looked at him, and he's like, oh. I'm like, Victor. And he's just like, oh. He's like, did I say that out loud? I'm like, yes. And the kids are like, Dad. And so I'm like, well, everybody just mark down the knife. So then it came to my turn. And I thought for sure I had figured it out, because we're pretty competitive. And it's like, if we think we know, we'll start heading to the middle, because we're pretty sure that, like, if we don't go, someone's going to go. And we want to try and beat them, because we've basically figured out based on everybody else's clues and guesses. And so even if you're not like 100% positive, you're pretty freaking sure.
Sure.
So based on the way everybody else had been guessing, I'm like, okay, I think I know who this is. So I went to the middle, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to make an explanation, declaration, whatever it's called, And so I made my announcement, and Ryan's like, I can prove you wrong. I'm like, what? And so he showed me, and I'm like, you're kidding me. Like, it was the weapon. And I'm like, damn, son. And so I was just like, well, I guess I'm out. And so I was sitting there shaking my head with my arms crossed, and I'm just like thinking, and I'm like, and I looked at him, I'm like, man, you hit that wrench really well. He's like, Mom. And I'm like, oh, did I say that?
Oh, no.
And I'm like, I forgot. I'm like, the game's only over for me.
Oh,
he's just
God.
like, yeah. And so I was like, oh. And then he just threw his cards down. He's like, why are we even playing anymore?
You guys can't play anymore.
He's like, Dad's announcing the knife. You just, let out to everybody I had the wrench. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm like, I was so proud of you for being so good about concealing the wrench.
You were just so smart.
I was just I was giving you props for like, wow, you really hit that wrench really well. Like, I had no idea anyone had that. And so, anyways. Well,
there you go.
We were the worst clue players.
You guys were the worst. You ruined it for everyone. That's
At least as old people. The kids were. Olivia's like, no, we can still play. And I'm like, stop, Olivia.
Let it go.
It's over.
Let the dream die. It's over. Okay, so mine was, as you said, we are getting ready to, well, at this point, I do believe that other than absolute essential needs, you really are supposed to be staying home. And so the other night, just like all the other, dirty masses. I'm like, let's go out really quick because I have a couple of things that I want to get that I don't want delivered because it will get here way late. So Daryl and I masked up and we went out. And we had to run to Trader Joe's because, I love Trader Joe's. So we went in and they're already doing the restriction thing. So there's always a line to get into the store. And so we waited for about 15, 20 minutes and we got in. And so there's like maybe 12 people in there. It's super low-key.
Was it during the daytime or was it towards the evening?
It was like around 5 o'clock.
Because it's been freaking freezing lately.
Yeah, it was cold, but we were wearing, warmth. But anyway, so we went inside and I'm like, oh God, it's so nice. I almost wish they keep this intact forever because Trader Joe's is so crowded normally. So we're wandering through and we're just getting our things. And Daryl, he complains that I wander off all the time at stores, but when it comes to stuff like Trader Joe's or Target or anywhere where I'm enjoying myself, he leaves and he just wanders off and starts staring at things because he's bored.
Why is that wrong? Why do you guys have to be together all the time? That's my whole complaint. Is
because I will tell you why. Because he wants to push the basket, and so if he's going to
take it,
I did actually at one point. I did take the basket, and then he felt like
I'm telling him, take the basket. I will bring a handful of items when I'm ready to see you.
Okay, I don't need you to try to resolve marital issues. We're fine. No, I'm just telling you.
No, please don't ask me. I've been divorced twice, and I'm single, and I'm not looking to do it ever again.
So anyway,
in fact, when I see people get engaged, I'm like, why are you doing that? They're like, I can't wait to spend the rest of my life with you. I'm like, the moment you get married, you basically just signed a death sentence ensuring you will get divorced. Marriage ruins everything. Getting married ruins everything. Don't do it.
So anyway, I'm looking at some stuff. And I turn around and he takes off. He wanders off to the beer aisle, which normally would be fine, but I didn't know because there was somebody standing behind me. And I could see that in my peripheral that there was someone. So I thought it was him standing there waiting for me to bring something. So I'm standing there and I'm getting everything. I go and I'm literally sideways and I'm speaking and I'm like, okay, well, I think that's it. Let's go ahead and get in line. Okay. And I turn around and I go, okay. And it's this tiny woman standing there. And I was like, oh. And I walked away and I was like, where did you go?
You're just like, don't ever do that to me again. He's like, what?
So,
take the cart and wander off. He's like, I do that all the time. Well, stop it.
It was
so
funny.
Just talked to a tiny woman.
And I'm like, all right. And here's the other thing. Now that we're all masked, so I'm walking and I'm trying to give him shit about it. I'm like, God damn it, I thought you were behind me. He's like, I'm sorry, what were you saying? I'm like, oh, never mind. It's like, God.
No one can hear a goddamn thing anymore. And you know what? You can't do like your normal like facial speaking, like, like your glances or your looks or anything like that because no one can read each other's faces anymore. Like us sisters, we can have a full-blown conversation without saying a word.
True.
But with these masks, no one knows what the hell anyone's talking about anymore.
It's so funny. The eye contact thing does work. Like Daryl will give me a look and but you're right. Cause he'll give me this look and I'm like, why are you giving me the wide eye? Like what? And he's like the person next to you and he'll like do the head thing and I'll turn in a look and there's this woman who's literally coughing on all the potatoes with no mask. And I'm like, oh God, he's like, get away from her.
Well, see, I mean, fortunately, my body reacts in all sorts of ways. Like if someone cuts me off, I usually like, cross my legs and bow down to a knee and I like put my whole hand out like, please, after you. And I do like a whole full production.
I know.
You don't need my face to do that. And then they kind of look back at me like, what are you doing? And I'm like, well, what the fuck do you think you're doing? I mean, please, Grandmaster, shall I roll out the red carpet? Cut me off. I'm only a lady, but obviously that doesn't mean anything to you. I mean, I'm a lady by, only biologics, but other than that, that should still mean something.
I'm going to read these awkward moments because I think they're funny and then we'll close out the show.
Okay.
I have two. Here's the first one. This is in honor of the new birth in the fam to our baby Steve, the 6th. Here we go. The first one. My husband told me this happened during our son's birth, but I honestly have no memory. Apparently, right before I started pushing, the doctor came to see how dilated I was. As she put her fingers inside me, I said, "Oh, that feels good." In the porniest voice possible, I remember feeling really uncomfortable and sweaty, and the doctor's fingers were super cold, so it was more about being refreshed rather than sexual. Nonetheless, I kept saying how good it felt to have the doctor's fingers inside me over and over again while the doctor and nurse would give each other awkward glances. my husband wanted to crawl into a hole and die.
I mean, he probably just said, please don't do that. Did you ever, okay, I can attest to that, not during that moment, but did you ever accidentally make sexual noises because when you were pregnant, something brought you like such pleasure?
Oh, yeah.
That it accidentally came out like audibly as a sexual noise?
That has happened. Absolutely.
What was it?
It's usually, well, like one time I remember vividly taking a shower and it just hit just so right on my back. And I was like, ugh. I mean,
But were you alone at least?
Yeah, I probably was. And I definitely have eaten stuff where I'm just like orgasmic. Absolutely.
Yes, it was I remember one time I was pregnant with Ryan and I got a chocolate soft serve cone. And I don't know why, but it was the best tasting chocolate soft serve cone. I took a bite and I'm like, And then Victor looked over at me. He's like, are you all right? And I'm like, shut up. I'm like, don't look at me.
I'm enjoying this cone.
I'm like, I don't even know why I did that. I'm like, it just came out wrong. And he's like,
you
sounds
almost
like can't help just it. Right.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
really,
shut up.
You really cannot help it when that happens.
To this day, every time we drive past a Dairy Queen or something, he's like, you want a chocolate soft serve cone? I'm like, fuck you. I'm like, just drive.
It was
15 years ago.
God.
Never will be able to forget the soft serve chocolate clone of 2005.
Jeez. Okay, so the second one and final one, when I was in labor with my first child, everything went really fast. My water broke, and within an hour, I was already ready to start pushing. Dang. Having a quick labor and delivery wasn't the horrifying part. That part was totally awesome. What was horrifying was that when I told my husband that I was ready to start pushing, I put my legs in the stirrups and told him to get a nurse, anybody. He looked over at me as he was running out of the hospital room and saw my legs spread open wide. I saw him gasp, and he ran out of the room screaming, "Somebody come quick! Something's wrong with my wife! It looks like something's wrong with her vagina!" And she said, yeah, it was the baby's head coming out.
You know what? I think it would be funny if nurses wrote a book of just, exclamations of people.
I know.
Like exclamations of husbands or women during birth. Like,
I know.
That would be freaking hilarious.
That'd be a great book.
The father section.
When I read
something's wrong with my wife. There's something wrong with her vagina.
I mean, the part that actually made me laugh is when he turns around before he runs out of the room and she's in the stirrups ready to go. And he looks and he's like, help! Someone! Anyone! It's like, that makes me laugh so hard.
Well, I mean, we've had our own exclamations. Like, even Allison, like the calmest person on the planet, she's just like, when she was in labor with Zaya and her and Neil were doing the breathing, and then she finally, she's like, God, honey, she's like, your breath really stinks.
Of all
like, sorry.
times.
And it's just, well, because they were trying to do their breathing, and she's like, your breath really stinks. So,
God.
I mean, for Allison to say someone's breath smells really bad.
That's
because, I mean,
rich.
She notoriously has horrid breath. I'm like, God, it must be bad. And then I forgot, like, who else said something? I'm sure Stephanie said horrific.
Well, don't forget. Oh, well, no, Stephanie just levitated off the bed.
But I mean, she said something, and then, God. Oh, I was thinking about our favorite comedian, Sebastian. He says, when my wife and I got to the hospital and, it came time, he says, I started to go into my bit that I had been practicing, and then all of a sudden she says, don't fucking look at me. He's just like, well, that didn't go the way I had planned.
Actually, that reminds me of when I was having Malia. It was quite a struggle because she was way too big for me. And Mom is like, push. And I turned to her and I slapped her mouth. Do you remember that? I slapped her mouth and I said, shush! Stop telling me to push! I was so angry. How did I reach up like a tentacle arm and slapped her mouth and I covered it?
You forget how much they push your freaking knees back into your face. I mean,
it hurts.
It's practically like a sexual position.
Oh,
I mean,
God. And then there's Daryl, Mr. Spears, in the corner.
Stephanie, she was holding your leg one time. I can't remember which birth it was. She leaned over to me. She's like, God, Jamie's feet stink.
What? That's a horrible thing to say. I had socks on.
I mean, it's so us because, most people don't recognize those things. Oh, God, this reminds me.
Wait a minute. If you're going to insult me again, can you prepare me?
I'm sorry.
No, I'm just kidding.
No, here's the thing is I told Victor the other day, I said, do you ever get embarrassed by like things you do when you're even by yourself? He's
yes.
Like, yeah. He's like, if I walk past a mirror or something, I'm like, no. I said like if you're about to do something like eat something or, you know, watch something or whatever, I'm like, do you ever get like ashamed of yourself?
Oh, like shame eating or shame watching?
And he's just like, no. I said, sometimes like if I'm about to eat something and I know it would just be like completely prohibited by my family, I picture my whole family sitting around with arms crossed just staring at me like, go ahead, Paula, eat the Pop-Tart. Go ahead.
Oh.
You know that's nothing we'd ever be allowed to eat. And I can't even believe you're going to put that processed food in your mouth.
Oh, my
There's
God.
no good nutritional value from there. We weren't raised that way. And I
We
said,
were not raised
it's basically like I have this audience, you know, just sitting there staring at me. I said, I actually wanted to eat one the other day, but I put it back because I just,
You're like, I
this
can't
invisible
deal with it.
crowd of my sisters and my mom, you know, shamed me from eating the Pop-Tart. And he's like, what's wrong with you? And I said, Victor, I'm like, I swear to God, I know I'm not alone. I said, I'm positive all my sisters have this make-believe audience of every single choice or decision they make in their entire life.
Well, certain ones for sure. It's why it's so hard to live outside of the box, because you're always thinking about your family's thoughts on a situation. I don't think that everybody's like us though, but we're kind of like,
I told him that. I said, it's just me and my sisters. I know that.
Yeah.
I know everybody else is, you know, they can live comfortably. I said
they're living a free life.
You know, it used to be like the angel and the devil on your shoulders.
Yes.
And like mine's like my whole sisters and mom in front of me, like shaming me for wanting to eat a Pop-Tart. I said, do you know how long it took me to finally finish that whole It was like 2 hours. I said, I felt like I had to take tiny little bites, and like I was concealing them as I was eating them.
Yeah, that's next level though, Paula. I mean, I'll eat the fucking cake if I want it.
Well, I mean, that's the other thing too. It's like sometimes I'm just like, you know, fuck you all, fuck this. I'm eating the fucking thing. But then other times, like a Pop-Tart or like Cheetos.
All that
like,
tells me is that we're the voice of your conscience telling you, Paula, you probably shouldn't eat this. You're not listening to yourself. You're listening to the conscience of your family. We're the voice of your conscience is essentially what I'm hearing.
Well, when it comes to food, yes.
Yes. That's
Everything
funny.
else, I don't have one. But yeah, why is it just food though? I don't
know.
understand that.
It wasn't like we were food deprived.
Jamie, we were never. I've never ever seen a Pop-Tart in Mom's house ever.
Okay, but what I mean by food deprived is we were not like so poor that we didn't have food.
No, it's not about that. It's just about the contents of the food. Like,
you were the most indulged when it came to food though.
Okay.
And toys.
Define indulge. I got fruit roll-ups from Costco.
Yeah.
And then but they were like
those. I didn't get those. No.
Okay. Yeah, and then she got them once, and because I ate them all in one sitting, because I'd never had anything like that before, I got such horrible diarrhea. She never bought them again.
Well, you ate the equivalent of like 15 plums. I mean, that
because I was so excited to have anything that delicious, and so I didn't know the repercussions of my actions.
I don't know, man. All I know is that I would occasionally get a fruit leather from the grocery store, and it was like 10 cents. And she's like, "Well, you can have 3 of them," and I'm like, "Okay." So we'd get 3 fruit
like
leathers,
3 for $1 or something like that.
Yeah, we'd get 3 fruit. No, back then they were way cheaper, but
we would never have anything with like a cartoon character on our cereal. Or
well, we did. We ended up getting Tricks and Fruit Loops and stuff.
Well, maybe when you were little, but when I grew up,
you're the one that got them. We didn't get them.
There was nothing with the word Tricks or Lucky on my cereal.
Okay, first of all, we didn't have Luckies, but we did have. You absolutely had Tricks and Fruit Loops and Frosted Mini Wheats and Frosted Flake. All that shit. We didn't get any of that stuff. We got fucking Cheerios, and then we'd put a half a cup of sugar on it.
I did the same thing.
Grape nuts and Raisin Bran.
I remember
those were our breakfast.
Like horse food.
God, it was like, here you go. Honk, honk, honk. No wonder our gums
like
were
I should put my
bleeding all
mouth
the
in a
time.
bucket
They were
and
cut.
just, eat it.
God.
That would be funny to take pictures to like think about like this is what we thought when we were eating the food that Mom gave us, and just take a picture of me sitting at the table with like a bucket strapped around my head and a box of grape nuts.
Right? God, that's what we had. Shredded mini wheats. Frosted mini wheats were a treat.
Okay, we didn't even get the shredded. We just had the big rectangles that were just...
Wheat Chex were my favorite.
God, they look like hay barrels.
They did, but they were
pillows.
good with a lot of sugar on them. So
everything was good with a lot of sugar on it.
I know, it's so true. Well, God forbid our mother wanted us to be healthy.
Well, I mean, physically, maybe. That's even questionable. I don't know what she was trying to accomplish there.
Based upon the fact that when she would allow us a treat and we would inhale it all in one sitting, I'm sure there's a reason why she never bought anything in bulk.
But this is funny because she has by far the highest cholesterol I've ever seen next to her father. So I don't know why she drew the line at cereal.
I don't know.
But, whole butter and whole milk and,
Well, the knowledge of health and food was very, very limited back in the day. It's not like it is now. The pyramid is outdated. So
you might be beaten to death, but by God,
you're going to have a healthy colon. You'll have a healthy colon, God damn it. Not on my watch.
You will not be eating those sugary cereals.
And that's where I draw the line.
Thanks, Mom.
Anyway, all right. Well, that's all I have for today.
As do I. We will see you next week, and have a nice time. Bye.